Hey everybody, Mark over here at Twanger's Turntable. I hope this finds you all well. If you're new to my channel, thanks so much for dropping by. I hope you'll find something you like. You'll stick around and enjoy sharing my music with me, or leave a comment, whatever it is you want to do. It's fine. Those who are returning, you know me, you know the drill. Let's do a cheers. And doing a video today, as you can see, the alphabet thread. Everybody, Jacob. Right now, I think I'm on letter P. I don't remember what number episode it is, but it is P nonetheless. So this one may be a bit of a longer one, but that's okay. I'm just going to kind of go through the ones I got and kind of chill. Not going to rush through it like I have in some of the other ones and be so hasty. I find it goes better that way for me if I'm not trying to push through it and get another one done. Whatever I get done, I get done. It's all good. It's supposed to be fun, and if I feel like it's something I have to do and try and keep up with everything that's happening, I tend to lose interest in that regard. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Today we're on the letter P, as I said. So I'm going to start off with a couple that I don't actually have on vinyl, but I do have a couple of their compact discs. And of course, it is two of my favorites by these guys from 1990 and 92, respectively. And it's Pantera, Cowboys from Hell, and Vulgar Display of Power, a haircut album. So Cowboys from Hell, probably my favorite or close to my favorite from these guys. I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite. I usually don't do rankings or choose favorites very often because there's such a fine line between the ones I like and don't like. But both of these are great. Hope to have them on vinyl at some point. Like I say, respectively, 1990, 92. Their fifth and sixth albums. And of course, you know, great band while they're around. And they are still around, to be fair. But not, you know, there's no Dimebag and there's no Vinny after the tragedy. They did some stuff. For those who don't know, Vinny and Dimebag also partook in a side project called Damage Plan, and Dimebag was essentially gunned down while they were doing a show there in 2004, and then Vinnie Paul passed away in 2018. So I guess that is 14 years later in the timetable, but it didn't seem that long. But anyway, they're both gone, and Pantera, as we know it, or as I knew them, no longer exist. I think they're actually touring now with Zakk Wylde and oh Jesus, Benante from Anthrax on drums. Brain cramp there. So that's it for the compact disc. I'll move on to the vinyl, and I don't know much about a couple of these, but what I do know I will share. And the first one I'm going to present, most of what I know is actually from this pretty awesome thick booklet insert that came with it. And it's the only full-length album they did. This was a band out of Leicester, England. The vocalist is actually Scottish. And it's a band called Prolapse. Not a very nice name for a band, and if you don't know what it is, look it up. Sorry about my squeaky drum throne here, but it is what it is. This, like I say, the 1994 release, this is a reissue that put out on Cherry vinyl, because this was done by Cherry Records in 94, I think it is. Did I say 94? Yeah, they're formed in 91. It was released in 94. Pointless Walks to Dismal Places. And it's punk. It's punk. I'm going to do a needle drop of this one at the end of the video, because it's one of those bands. It's a happy accident. I had not really heard of them. And this vinyl was sent to me accidentally by Amazon when I actually ordered another vinyl. And I'm glad. I'm glad. Basically, when I told them what had happened, it was one of those scenarios where they said, okay, well, we'll refund you the cost of your order that was not fulfilled, and keep what we sent you. So, and it's really good. I like it. Like I say, I'll do a needle drop, but it's just that punk sound. And to me, it's really cool with the Scottish vocalist. So the band consisted of Mick Derrick. He was on vocals. Co-vocals was a female, Linda Steelyard, and then it was Mick Harrison on bass, David Jeffries on guitar, Paul Marsden on guitar, and Tim Pattison on drums. And the drums on this, they're just so powerful. They're just it has to be heard to appreciate it. And maybe there are those of you out there that are not as appreciative of drums as I am, but if you are, I think you'll really dig it. Even if you are a punk fan, I think you'll dig those guys if you've not heard of them already. Really good. Next up is one that I knew about this guy. I think most people in the music world or vinyl community for sure know of John Lydon, right? Johnny Rotten and Sex Pistols. But back then, it wasn't something that was really in my wheelhouse. It would have been something more one of my older brothers might have been into. But after the Sex Pistols, and I'm saying a lot of stuff most people here may already know, and I'm certainly by no means an authority on these guys. But Public Image Limited, or PIL for short. This is the only release I have by them. And when it was released, it was just simply titled on vinyl. It was titled Album. And of course, similarly for MP3s, it was MP3, compact disc, cassette. You get the idea. But I did not know. I'd seen this, like I say, and I think there was even a minor hit on one of the songs on here. I can't remember what it was called. But I didn't know how good it was. And I'm so glad I encountered this in the wild and grabbed it. It's basically a celebrity list of musicians on here, not the least of which is Stevie Vai and Ginger Baker and Tony Williams on drums. All of which, aside from Stevie Vai, have passed away. It's just a fantastic album, and of course, John Lydon has not passed away, although sadly his wife did recently. But what a killer album! I mean, my God, it's so good. I'm so glad I gave it a spin because I've listened to it many times, and every time I really enjoy it. The drums on that are just between Tony Williams and Ginger Baker. I mean, it's just wow. I don't need to say much more if you're familiar with those gentlemen and their proficiency when it comes to drums. But yeah, PIL, Public Image Limited. Check them out. Next up for P is another one of my favorite drummers, Clark Kent, or AKA Stuart Copeland. And this is my favorite by the Police, Zenyatta Mandata. I mean, 1980, I would have been in junior high and, of course, doing my noon hour radio station gig whenever I could. My older brother had this. I would take it to school with me. And probably best known for the da, which I know gets a lot of hate, a lot of grief. But the entire album is so killer. Don't Stand So Close to Me, Canary in a Coal Mine. And then, Driven to Tears, When the World is Running Down. Just Stuart Copeland is just, to me, is a standout on this album, as he is on all the Police albums. That's, he's amazing. Voices in My Head. Wow. Just that snap. Bombs Away. Behind My Camel is another good one that Les Claypool and Primus covered that one. It's an instrumental. It's really good. Man in a Suitcase, Shadow in the Rain, The Other Way of Stopping. But just a killer album, in my opinion. Again, whatever I show here and make comments about is strictly my opinion. Of course, they're not. I'm not a gatekeeper of anything. That's for damn sure. So, The Police. That's their third record from 1980. I think I said that already. Next up, this always reminds me of family and friends from back home. By the way, hello to everybody back home and all over the provinces that I've been to, that I know, people that I care about and are friends with. Another P, provinces. But this always reminds me of my good buddy. We were inseparable for a long time. Donnie Bia. Peace, Donnie. But yeah, this album, my brother had this album as well, but Robert Palmer, Clues. And this came out around a time, again, 1980, that I was at that age where I was starting to develop music of my own taste that I liked. I guess it had happened prior to that with, Nazareth and Sweet and Zeppelin, Sabbath, all that, but stuff that was maybe outside of that hard rock realm, the new wave and the synth music and Robert Palmer to go out and work with somebody like Gary Newman at the time, where he does a cover of Dream of Wires on here, and Newman actually plays keys on it. But he also co-wrote a song on here, Found You Now. Gary Newman did with Robert Palmer. And the only thing that doesn't make it a Newman song, in my opinion, is the vocals of Robert Palmer. You could easily take that song and put it on Principles or something from Gary Newman, and I think it would fit in. But yeah, great album. Looking for Clues, Sulky Girl, Johnny and Mary, What Do You Care, I Dream of Wires, as I mentioned, Woke Up Laughing, which on this is quite a departure from those of you who are familiar with that song from the 1988 movie soundtrack Sweet Lies, or his compilation Addictions Volume 1. It's quite different. I like them both, and then he does Not a Second Time, which is a Lennon McCartney Beatles cover, but great album, in my opinion. Again, just a solid album from Robert Palmer. Next up, another one that falls into that category. Me and my buddy Bia, we spun the shit out of this thing. I mean, so many times. We played it, and he reached out to me here a couple of years ago, and he was trying to remember the name of the song on this album. He was saying, "What was that song we used to listen to so many times?" And of course, it's Echoes, and that album is from Pink Floyd, their 1971 release, Metal. It's probably my favorite Pink Floyd album, or at least right up there. Again, hard to choose favorites for me. But when, Wish You Were Here, Animals, Even the Wall, Dark Side of the Moon gets all the attention, this was the predecessor of those. It came out before Dark Side of the Moon. Whoops, I got that upside down. Dark Side of the Moon and Obscured by Clouds, I think it was. That was in between the two. Obscured by Cloud came after this, and then Dark Side of the Moon. But I think Obscured by Clouds was just meant to be more of a soundtrack to a French film. Don't quote me on that. I did have a novel I read of Pink Floyd. Oh, that's actually my, I thought I pulled it. This is my Stuart Copeland novel. But anyway, not my novel, one I'm reading. But yeah, Echoes is just one of the mainstays on here. I mean, Fearless, One of These Days, just a fantastic album. And my buddy and I would play the hell out of that album, and it's still one of my faves. So where are we at here? Pink Floyd, P. Another one kind of out of left field for me. I heard this band via a movie soundtrack. I was watching a movie. The movie was called Morgan, back in 2016, and I had not heard of them. Mind you, at this point, they'd only been around a few years. I think they're out of Minnesota, formed in 2011, and they had an album prior to this, I think. Yes, they did. They had an album prior to this, but this is their 2013 release, Shulamith by Polika. And yeah, the song that was on that soundtrack was Very Cruel. And this is very indie rock, synth rock. I think one of the terms they use is trip pop, or I don't know. I know what trip pop, what they're referring to, but it's just that electronic synth rock music. I don't know why I have to complicate the hell out of stuff. It's just good synth rock music. And I was going to do a needle drop of this one, but I decided to go with the Prolapse instead, just because I think it's probably more obscure than this one is. I don't know. It certainly was to me. This, I think, may have got a little more attention mainstream, and just maybe due to it being more recent, 2013, this one, which is already more than 10 years ago. My God. And then another one, of course, I could have included this in a thread my buddy Morton is doing over in, I think he's in Denmark. He goes between Denmark and Norway. So a shout out to Morton. I should have pulled up his channel here, as well as Jacob's. I know they correspond to each other, always commenting. And I just recently discovered his channel. And it's a great channel. Great guy. but he's doing almost like a comedic thread, albums that have maybe a comedic tone to them, if you will. He was doing Steve Martin, and he did some, what else did he do? Monty Python. And he threw in a Beatles one there too, but I guess it was just because it was comical that it was being sold as something as such. But anyway, I digress. Pucifer, and it is, of course, Maynard James Keenan from Tool, one of his side projects, along with A Perfect Circle. I just dropped my hype sticker there. And it's meant to be taken as with a grain of salt. It's a character he's created as an outlet, outside of Tool and A Perfect Circle. And there's a whole character that goes along with Pucifer. You have to see it to understand it. Existential Reckoning. This came out in 2020, and this is very electronic rock, synth, keyboard driven. Very alternative to what you would expect from Tool and Perfect Circle if you're not familiar with them. And basically, he's joined with Karina Round on vocals, female vocalist, does a lot of vocals with Maynard on this one. And then rounded out with Matt Mitchell is officially the lineup of Pucifer. Although on here, Sarah Jones is a fantastic drummer. She does most of the drumming on that, along with a gentleman by the name of Gunnar Olsen on drums. That came out, did I say when it came out? 2020 it came out, just around the pandemic era. I remember the video. I saw one video there where it was clearly done during the pandemic because the streets were deserted, locked down, and he's just cruising around on a skateboard. Well, actually, the character. And a neat side note with that is Pucifer has a store in Arizona, Jerome, Arizona. My wife and I went there, and it's just really cool. He's into the wine and all that stuff. Those who know, will understand what I'm referring to. But just a neat little store in this little old mining town of Jerome, Arizona. It's just outside of where was it? Sedona. Well, not just outside. It's a ways from Sedona, but the Green Valley. Anyway, it's really cool. But last but not least, I'm going to end it with some Canadian content. And I can't believe I actually own some of this stuff, because back in the day I wouldn't have, maybe on 45 or something for radio or DJing. But it's the Payolas. And this is their release. I think it's their second or third. Hammer on a Drum. I don't know. Again, not an authority on these guys. But Never Said I Love You is one of the tracks on here, featuring Carol Pope from Rough Trade. And it's a good one. And there's another tidbit about this one that my U.S. and overseas friends may not be aware of, but a gentleman by the name of, look at that guy there, Bob Rock was part of this. And he did some stuff with the vocalist on here too, Hyde. What the heck was his name? Was it John Hyde? Called Rock and Hyde, some of the stuff they did. Paul Hyde. Bob Rock on guitar, which Bob Rock, of course, many will know for being a producer for Metallica, who actually also laid down the bass tracks for Saint Anger. That was not Torillo. He did appear to perform for the tour, but the recording had already been done by Bob Rock, who does the bass on that album. But that's it. That's my my last one for the P's that I wanted to submit and include some Canadian content. 1983, that one was released. Did I say that? Anything else on there I want to mention? I did mention the Carol Pope appearance. If you've not been over to Jacob's channel, or Jakob as probably is the proper pronunciation, being that he is over in Denmark. I certainly don't speak any Scandinavian or Dutch or whatever. Not whatever. I don't mean it that way. Morton was actually commenting on that as well. Is one of his videos where it's kind of sad that, it used to be that all the Scandinavian countries around had their own, dialects, I guess, to the language that was different. But now when people from Sweden and Denmark and Norway and all these people get together, they're speaking English, which, so just a side note, again, off topic, but just another VC member I think about when I'm doing this stuff and enjoying his channel. I hope you'll do the same. Go over and check out Jakob's channel. I'll leave a link below. That's what I'll do. I'll leave a link, and I'm also going to leave a link to some of these artists. It'll just be in the description. You'll see it, and maybe a link to Morton's channel there too as a shout out. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing it. It's easier for me to just to sit here and almost like I'm shooting the shit. It's much more easygoing and doesn't feel so hasty. And I've got some time this weekend other than needing to put up some more shelves and whatnot. But just my bestie and I hanging out here, listening to tunes, building Lego, or we like to build some Lego for the grandkids. And until next time, I hope you all have a good weekend. I know in the U.S. it's a big Super Bowl weekend. I guess they do it here in Canada too. I don't know. I'd probably have to think really hard actually who's partaking in it. I know it's Kansas City. I don't know. I don't even know. Anyway, but enjoy everyone who is enjoying that thing. I hope you enjoy it. Have a safe and happy weekend, and hope to see you again soon here at Twanger's Turntable. Take care, everybody. Cheers.